Hey guys, Joe here at JP Details with a 234,000 mile Volkswagen Golf 1.6 TDI might I add, which is in need of one serious makeover. The exterior is filthy from many a mile of being driven, a lot of the time down incredibly muddy country roads, hence the condition. The Golf joins us today for a 3-day detailing training course with a chap called Adam who does intend to set up a detailing and valeting business of his own, so he's hit me up for some training first. Our intentions over the next 3 days are to tackle the incredibly dirty exterior and the swirled and faded paintwork underneath, as well as a deep clean for the interior, engine bay and a wheels off detail. We'll begin with showing you around the car to give you a gist of what we're up against, and then we'll jump in with a complete step-by-step guide about how to get a neglected vehicle back to an awesome condition. Just a heads up, we will be snow foaming the engine bay, machine polishing the paintwork via a compounding stage and finishing stage, wet vacuuming the interior and using one of those spinny brush things on the end of a drill. Adam's plan is to sell the Golf to make way for a van so he can go about his new business venture on a mobile basis to begin with. Before we get cracking with today's comprehensive guide, which is pretty much going to cover a professional detail from start to finish, can you do me a quick favour and make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as it would be a great deal to hit 100k at some point in the next 6 months. It made sense to start the detail with initially giving the engine bay the clean it deserves. This Golf has covered 234,000 miles and there is a good chance that it hasn't been cleaned within many of those original miles. Firstly, you want to tape up any electrical socket or plugs to provide further protection against water damage. Generally speaking, then all of these plugs will be waterproof to a certain degree, but it is good practice to take this precautionary step, which should only take 5 to 10 minutes. That way we can be a little more carefree when rinsing. Apart from the electrical sockets, the only other things to be careful of are any air intakes or air intake pipes, and at worst exposed injectors, which at that point I'd contemplate not using a jet wash at all. Most modern engines are covered with a bit of plastic trim, so it's only the odd vehicle that may raise an eyebrow and make you think otherwise, and usually it's the older ones. Rinse the engine bay starting with the underside of the bonnet to knock off as much crud and grime without getting too close to the engine itself. Modern engine bays are fine to be jet washed and cleaned in the fashion shown in this video, but I do have the relevant insurance in place just in case something were to go wrong. Let's hope that doesn't happen today, and I'm sure with the following built amber auto foam all fire risks will be quickly extinguished. This quick fire snow foam stage will provide us with a decent pre-cleaning solution before we jump in with a much stronger APC and various brushes. We used Built Amber Surfex HD diluted around 7 to 1 with a few of the wheel cleaning brushes to access as many parts of the engine bay as possible. Surfex HD is more comparable as a degreaser, which is proving perfect for today's occasion. When the agitation stage is complete, and don't forget to do this to the underside of the bonnet, we'll want to rinse the engine bay starting from the top to remove all of the soapy residue, product and grime. Don't forget to remove the tape from the electrical sockets, and then feel free to close the hood.
Oh, this is where you do them too good and you can't get them back off again.
The next area, which is well and truly well overdue a good clean and decon, is the wheels and arches. I'm not even kidding, these are absolutely filthy. To make things easier and to expose as many areas as possible for a thorough deep cleaning process, we will be taking the wheels off. You'll need a breaker bar and a socket set, as well as any locking wheel nut keys, a jack to lift the vehicle with, and ideally an axle stand to brunt the load. Crack the wheel nuts and jack the car up, pop the axle stand underneath and then take the load off the jack. Fully undo the wheel nuts and pop the wheel off. Place the wheel somewhere sturdy, and by this point you should have already prepared your wheel cleaning products and tools. A pressure washer is an absolute must-have for car cleaning duties. I can't remember the name of the Nilfisk that I'm currently using, but it has proven to be a solid bit of kit, offering a high rate of water flow. They retail at £850 and they are purchasable from Precious Washers of Stafford. Please see the link below to their website. This machine is my new fixed location machine for the new unit. It won't work from a water tank or a generator, so I can't take it out in the van. That's where the Kranzel K7 comes in, as my big one does need to be hooked up to a tap and an electrical socket. So firstly, rinse the arch down to remove as much mud and grime as possible. Make it easier on yourself going forwards and rinse off as much as you can. The jet wash is certainly your friend at this point. Adam couldn't find the locking wheel nut for the rear wheels on the Golf, so we'll have to settle for doing our best with the car jacked up and in the air. By doing this, it has opened up the arch much better, so we should be able to still do a decent job. Fabric arch liners at the rear versus plastic at the front. I know which I'd rather be cleaning, hence why I chose to do the fronts. You will find that over time the mud on the fabric arch liners will eventually soak all of the way through and settle in big mounds around the back of the fabric arch liners, depending on how well the car was built of course, and things such as age and mileage. In an ideal world you'd want to remove the arch liners, but that won't be happening today. After the initial pre-rinse, which did take a bit of time, I'll apply Built Amber Auto Foam to the wheel arches to offer us some decent initial cleaning agents.
Spray a bit of the degrease and then give it a bit of a boost. And then clean.
We'll follow this with our wheel cleaning tools and then agitate whilst using Built Amber Surfex HD. Utilise each of your brushes to access as many areas as possible or until your desired finish has been achieved. Surfex HD diluted around 7:1 makes an excellent product selection for things like engine bays and wheel arches. It really does offer you a clean much more comparable to a degreaser I'd highly recommend. Rinse the wheel arch when the first cleaning stage is complete to remove the product residue and the grime. We're then going to go back in for a second clean, this time using Built Amber Surfex HD on its own. The first hit removed the majority of the dirt, the second hit will finish the final few traces nicely. It just takes a bit of effort, time, plus the knowledge, tools and products, a vehicle to clean and somewhere to clean it. I'm sure you get the gist. You can opt to complete the whole of the second cleaning stage with an iron fallout remover, which would be beneficial considering the amount of iron contamination that must have become embedded into the wheel arches will be quite substantial. We will be completing at least 2 big hits of the tar and glue remover because the amount of road tar is substantial. Take your incredibly filthy wheel that possibly hasn't been cleaned for many tens of thousands of miles, the one from the front as well, and let's see how well we can clean it up. This must be one of the worst wheels that I've done in quite some time. Rinse with the pressure washer to remove as much brake dust as possible, then jump right in with your iron fallout product. Apply to the wheel, allow some time to begin reacting, then begin the agitation process with your brushes.
Begin.
There's no denying that the amount of baked on brake dust on the wheels is quite substantial. If the owner wanted these to be mint, they would need to be fully refurbed. However, a deep clean in this case will suffice. I repeated the process 3 times initially for the front wheel, and I could very easily have done it for another 3 more times. We even joked about putting the wheels in a bath or even a tub filled with iron fallout product, which would more than likely work. It did take quite a bit of effort to remove the majority of the brake dust, as it did prove to have been on there for quite a while. Either way, the wheels look much better after the first decon stage, so let's move to the next. AutoSmart TARDIS Tar and Glue Remover is next to be used on the wheels. This strong solvent is going to begin chemically reacting with the rotor contamination, and trust me, there is quite a bit of it. Apply the product liberally and give it some time to dwell before working over with a microfiber towel. You will need to repeat this process a few times to remove all final traces. You may need to break the big ones down and then remove them gradually. The sticky strips from where the old wheel weights used to be need cleaning off, and again saturate these areas with the product repeatedly, and given time to dwell, these will scrape off with something similar to a credit card or a loyalty card. A heat gun would definitely be beneficial, but I still managed without. It's hard to say how much time went into each wheel, but considering it was only the fronts that were taken off, we probably got the wheels off detail process finished in around an hour and a half. After the wheel had been vigorously detarred, I rinsed it off and reapplied the iron fallout product for a final ferrous fighting feud to remove as many final fighting ferrous contaminants left on the wheel's surface. The wheel was heavily contaminated to begin with, and I really do want to see if I can get them one step better. In the meantime, the arch was detarred with several soakings of the product and wiping over with microfiber towels to remove an abundance of rotor contamination. 3 hits minimum for a vehicle of this stature, any less and there'll still be blobs on there. Wipe the arch down multiple times and don't be shy with the product. Wipe over the suspension arms and up and around the chassis, there's lots of hidden places where the tar loves to hide. Rinse the arch when complete and refit the clean wheel ready for dropping the vehicle back down. As it turns out, I actually recorded us doing the wheels off detail on the other side of the car as well, so I'm going to speed up the footage so you can see the full process of this area being transformed, minus the cleaning of the front wheel as it'll be out of shot. I'll overplay some copyright free music and I'll join you again when the wheels and arches are complete. Step 1 for the exterior, give it a thorough pre-rinse to remove as much dirt and grime as possible. Utilise the jet wash and let it do the hard work. You don't need to spend an eternity at this point, just knock off the loose stuff. After the initial pre-rinse, apply a layer of snow foam of your choice. I'll be using Built Amber Auto Foam 2 providers with a strong solution to help soften up the more baked on road grime. Allow the snow foam maximum dwelling time to work its magic, so for me on this overcast day it was around 7 minutes. Give the vehicle a much more thorough pressure rinse after the dwell to further remove the more stubborn dirt and grime that's become built up on the surface of the car. The first rinse can be a nice and quick one to knock off the loose stuff, but the second rinse must be much more thorough to help shift the more stubborn grime. Wash the vehicle from the roof down with my selection of wash mitt being of the microfiber variety. Use the 2 bucket wash method to your heart's desire and get the vehicle nicely clean. Take a secondary wash mitt for the lowest areas, including underneath the front and rear bumpers, under the side skirts and around the inner arches, although you should have already sorted the inner arches within the wheels off detail stage. You can also grab a detail brush and some APC or even Surfex HD and clean the hard to reach areas. I'm not sure why we didn't do it on the day, but perhaps we could have done it later on in the decon stages. So now the vehicle has been rinsed off, we are left with a relatively clean base. The only contaminants still there are all bonded to the paintwork in slightly different ways. The tar deposit removal stage is first up to remove those small road tar deposits. Apply the product to, let's say, a quarter of the car at a time and begin wiping over with microfiber towels. For heavily contaminated vehicles, you may need to repeat this process 2 or 3 times. Pretty sure I carried out on the Golf twice. This product will dry out very quickly if the sun comes out, so if it does, you do need to ideally get that side of the car in the shade. The next area to sort is behind the registration plates. The previous glue residue needs to come off for a new plate to be fitted. Tar and glue remover, allow time to dwell, heat with the air gun would be beneficial, then repeat the process a few times and the glue should start to separate. Wipe and repeat a few times and you will be able to remove all of the glue. I resulted in picking it away, I'll just be sure to give it a good compound later on. Rinse the vehicle down when the tar and glue remover stage is finished. Apply the iron fallout product to the entire car in the shade to dissolve all ferrous or metal particles from the bodywork. We should see the product begin to turn purple as it reacts with the contamination. Against a black vehicle it is going to be difficult to see, but I can assure you that it is still there. Rinse the vehicle down when the product has been allowed to dwell for its longest dwelling time without drying out, hence why it's important not to do this stage in the sun. Spend the time rinsing it out of the gaps and crevices of the vehicle, as it does take a bit to remove. I then decided to rinse out all door shuts and sills due to them being filthy, and as you'll see shortly, the interior could possibly benefit from a snow foam wash itself, so we're not all that fussed if it does get a bit wet. There is a technique of angling the jet wash when doing the door shuts to minimise the amount of water that enters the cabin, but to be honest, I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out for yourself. Next up is a final layer of snow foam to help draw out all of the iron fallout product from the gaps and crevices, and we will take advantage at this point and clean the door shuts and sills with a strong APC and detailing brushes. Going by the state of this car inside and out, I do imagine it had been a number of years since the vehicle had been properly cleaned. Rinse the door shuts and sills and the bodywork down before commencing the final decon stage. We are now left with a clean looking Volkswagen Golf after the first bit of a seeing to. Not too shabby before and afters. Here's the interior, which is looking pretty sorry for itself. A full deep clean is coming right up.
You know, for the approach for this phone call, I'm really angry. I've been trying to get in touch with a bit more lenient.
No. Highly doubt it.
I hate new insurance companies.
We popped the hood and applied the plastic and vinyl dressing to boost the appearance of the engine bay. Apply to the surface, then brush in to hit all areas. It's as easy as that. I'll then give the product some time to dwell on the surface before wiping off a few hours later. I set Adam the task of beginning the clean on the interior. Vacuum all areas first to remove the loose bits of debris and then jump in for the manual cleaning. The George Pneumatic Wet and Dry Vac is excellent. Please see the link below to buy one today. I wouldn't be without mine. I took over after the initial vacuum stage and demonstrated how to clean the driver's door card. Different materials to contend with and electrical sockets and speakers, so it does have its risks of its own. The vehicle does need a good clean, so be sure to use the required amount of product. Simply vacuum first, clean with APC and a detail brush, then wipe the product off the plastic and fabric surfaces. You've got a few different points of cleaning there: the vacuum, the agitation with the brush, and further cleaning with the microfiber towels, and then your interior panels will be looking so much better after. Steering wheels are a high wear area and they do require regular cleaning to help with keeping your interior a safe environment. A Swissvax detail brush and APC will get to all areas of the wheel, and a microfiber towel will clean it all up nicely. A full clean of the interior means just that, so no areas are missed. The headlining, A, B, C pillars are all thoroughly cleaned, and if you want to do an odour removal, then simply replace the APC with an enzyme odour eliminator product. We wiped the engine bay down with a bit more plastic dressing and a microfiber towel to get it all finished off. You can blow dry the engine bay after the cleaning process, which I'm pretty sure is what we would have done, I just didn't capture it on camera. Now that the interior has been given a decent initial vacuum and all hard surfaces have been cleaned, we're going to tackle the carpets first and then the fabric seats. Using Valet Pro upholstery cleaner diluted around 6 to 1, I'll apply it to the carpet liberally and then whack out the old spinny brush thing on the drill. This is my first time using the brush, and yes, it certainly does have its place. A very good tool for cleaning up bad carpets quickly with minimal effort required. It gets a big thumbs up from me. Complete this crazy brush stage to your heart's content, but be wary that a strong bristled brush may fluff up your pile. Vacuum thoroughly afterwards and you should be onto a winner. Wet vac if required, but not for the carpets in this Golf today. Ensure the loose bits of debris have been vacuumed from the seats, including the gaps and crevices, then soak the seat with an upholstery cleaner. Begin agitating the product with an upholstery brush to get it all working. Add boiling water to the tank in George and begin wet vacuuming the seats. Draw out all of the bad stuff, and what you'll find when the seats have dried is some far better conditioned ones. The interior was given a final vacuum after the wet vac and carpet cleaning. The interior windows, glass and dials were cleaned and the plastics were dressed with auto finesse spritz. We finished the interior in a timely manner to set about restoring some gloss and shine to the terrible looking paintwork. Starting with the bonnet, because it's the most easily accessible panel and under the lighting, we'll be able to see how the paint's reacting far more conveniently than, let's say, down the sides. We do have a cloudy effect going on with the paint and we're not all that sure what it could be. It's difficult to say whether it's something on the surface of the clear coat or if it's general UV fading that's etched into the top part of the clear coat. My guess is UV fading, so with this compounding stage using a microfiber pad and the Rupes Green Medium compound, I'll hopefully be able to cut through this top layer of clear coat to remove the etching. revealing a much nicer colour underneath. The defect across the entire bonnet did prove quite resilient to remove. It did take quite a bit of compounding to level the clear coat down enough to remove the heaviest parts of this defect. I gave Adam the do's and don'ts of machine polishing, and we both set about the task of putting pad to paint. The Rupes LHR 15 Bigfoot Mark II and Mark III are being used. The key with compounding is to concentrate on one section at a time, be happy with it, then move to the next. Each section should be roughly 1 square foot, this way we won't feel rushed to get each panel done, because to achieve a decent finish, time really is the answer. The bonnet wasn't the only problem area that we had to correct, as we also had these substantial scratches and brush marks towards the front of the roof. We're not sure what caused these, but I was told that when Adam bought the car, there was a load of stuff being stored on the roof. I'm going to let Adam do what he can with these marks, and I've simply told him to go to town with them. In the meantime, I'm going to attend to my side of the roof to get the vehicle on the right track to completion. Adam gave his section a good shot, and he certainly has improved the area. I moved the camera to capture some correctional work on the side of the car, and boy do we have some stuff to remove. It's safe to say that the Golf has been used and abused over the years, but a mighty fine finish is only around the corner. Just to add, at this point the car was clayed before drying, we just didn't capture it on camera. Working each panel of the car section by section, I'm going to get a hold of the Rupes Bigfoot and show it where to go. Get it working nicely against all areas of paint to restore the finish. You do have to be careful of the edges, but just use your common sense. Do the crosshatch pattern to keep your working area nice and neat and to improve the chances of an even finish. I've only got minimal time to do my share of the compounding, which is going to be the whole of the passenger side and the boot lid. So whilst we're not detailing a vehicle of significant monetary value, where perhaps spending 100 hours perfecting the vehicle would suit, we kind of want to cut to the chase a little quicker with the Golf to save a few of them man hours. Brush the pad out frequently, especially with a microfiber pad, as the fibres do need propping up regularly. Reapply the compound after each section and buff each panel as you go. Don't build up too much heat in any given area, but be sure to spend the time mastering the machine and the paint. Inspect your results as you go to monitor the level of correction being achieved, and if you are happy, continue working around the car. I'll put some product links in the description below for the different bits of tools, products and kit that are being featured today.
Get used to us doing that shit. It's not positive.
What's left to talk about the compounding stage then? Well, there is still a lot left to talk about the compounding stage, but I'm not going to do that to you now. If you want to learn more about paint correction and even ceramic coatings, then please check out some of my other videos. I'm going to keep this video a little less involved, as in all fairness I would usually spend far longer compounding a vehicle that is in for a paint correction. The idea with the Golf is that he is here on training, so I'm still having to run him through most stages of the detail. So now I've finished my share of the compounding, I'm going to go ahead and refine those panels. A white Rupes finishing pad this time with the white Rupes finishing polish, and after applying a few 5p size blobs of the product to the pad, I'll begin working it over the paint. Just like compounding, you really can go to town with how much time you spend on the machine. The longer you spend, the better the finish will be, generally speaking. I'm going to spread the product out on speed setting 4 and then work it all in on speed setting 6. Do the crosshatch pattern where applicable so you can maintain a manageable working area and give that paintwork some much needed gloss. The longer you spend with one of these machines in your hand, the sooner you'll become familiar with it, and in return you'll learn how to get the most out of it. Put the man hours in and get those cars under your belt to increase your experience, expertise and your know-how. So a few other things to cover. The front end needs a respray because it's absolutely peppered from many a motorway mile. We're not going to be painting the front end today, so we'll just do our best. The rest of the paintwork was given the single stage machine polish with as much time that I could offer. It isn't going to be a show car, so it isn't having show car hours spent on it, and I'm technically still on training, so I do have my excuses. I did my best with both the compounding and finishing stages to bring the Golf's paintwork back to a decent finish. A huge improvement from before, and our effort should help shift the thing to fund the mobile van purchase for Adam. We finished the training off with the application of Geon Mose to offer the Golf a 2-year ceramic coating from a single layer. It also comes with Geon Cure, which needs to be wiped over 24 hours later. Adam left his bottle at my unit, so that won't be happening. Apply the Geon product onto an applicator of your choice and apply to the paint in straight lines where possible. You can use circular motions to help spread the product further. Ensure your select working section is coated, which shouldn't be anything bigger than, let's say, half a bonnet. Grab your first microfiber towel and then gently begin to buff the residue.
God, it is a brush, isn't it?
It's not like we're not buffing it or anything, we're literally wiping it off. Relatively, well, not really gentle, it's just
don't take the whole.
you could probably count this as buffing, to be honest. That's the first towel, and you grab the second towel.
Take your second microfiber towel shortly after to remove all final traces of the excess coating residue. Repeat this process over the rest of the panel and be sure to inspect your results as you go. It's very easy to miss a bit of ceramic coating residue, and when it's dried it'll be a pain to remove. We got the rest of the Golf coated with a single layer of Geon Mose, dressed the tyres, detail spray for the door shuts and sills, polished the windows and a JP Dangly air freshener inside. The plates were put back on and the vehicle was given overnight to fully cure. We came to the unit the next day and we got the Golf outside for some final finish photos and footage. Quite a difference before and after the 3 days of treatment. Some value has been put back into the car, so hopefully it sells pretty quickly. Quite the mileage though at 234,000. I certainly wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot barge pole, but I tell a lie, I've kinda just spent 3 days working on it. Apart from the interior needing the professional touch or possibly even just a final vacuum, the car has pretty much been transformed. I let Adam finish the interior off, so judge him and not me. It's safe to say that we did have a good time over the 3 days of training. Adam had travelled down from somewhere up north, but I can't remember where. He learned a lot whilst he was with me, and he's now able to take away some decent information and knowledge to help him set up his own business. The Golf turned out a treat, and it was good to see it all clean and shiny in the end. The front outside the unit needed a good jet wash to remove all of the mud, so I got that job done pretty quickly as there was a lot that came off the Golf. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and please do make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss future content. Be sure to give the like button a tickle to show some support, and feel free to give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram, just search JP Details, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.
No. Highly doubt it.
Battery.
Would it?